Chelsea, the Naptime chef, and as you saw earlier, it is blustery and cold in New York City. And this kind of weather can only mean one thing: cold weather cooking. Today we're going to make ragu, and it is one of my personal favorite cold weather dishes. It's warm and hearty and very tasty, and it warms you to the tips of your toes. Plus, it's versatile. You can use all different kinds of meats or herbs to create the flavor that you would like. The great part about ragu is that it can be served many different ways. Tonight we're going to have it over hot pasta, and tomorrow I might serve it over a little polenta. It's very versatile, and also it freezes beautifully. So if you make a batch, you can freeze half of it to use it for later. Preparing ragu is very straightforward, and we're going to start by turning the heat on medium and adding some olive oil to get things started. Now I'm using a heavy bottom saucepan. This happens to be a crusade pot, but any kind of heavy stock pot will do. So while the oil heats up, what we're going to do is I picked up about 2 pounds of fresh pork sausages, and I removed the casings, and we're going to add this to the oil and start by browning the meat. Start by breaking up the meat with your wooden spoon into as small pieces as possible. And then we're going to let the meat brown in the olive oil until everything is fully cooked. It will take about 5 to 6 minutes. Then we'll add the next ingredients. So our meat is browning nicely, and while it has been cooking, I've been adding a few pinches of salt and pepper for extra flavor. And now what I'm going to add is the onion. This is 1 medium onion, finely chopped, and we're going to add it right into the meat mixture. Now we're going to stir the onion into the pork and let it saute until the onion gets translucent, which will take about another 5 to 6 minutes. Our onion is nice and translucent, and now it's time to add the garlic. Now I have 2 cloves of garlic chopped in this little dish. I happen to like a lot of garlic, much to my husband's chagrin, but you can add as much as you want. If you want a little less flavor, just do 1 clove of garlic and it should be just fine. The garlic is starting to soften and it's very fragrant. Now we're going to deglaze the pan with 1 cup of dry red wine. Now remember, my rule of thumb with red wine is never cook with something that you wouldn't drink yourself. My second rule of thumb is if you've opened a bottle to deglaze the pan, save the rest for yourself for later. We're going to let the red wine simmer in the pot until it's reduced by about half, and then we're going to add the tomatoes and all the flavorful herbs. Okay, the wine is reduced by half, and I use my wooden spoon to scrape up the brown bits from the bottom to make sure we get maximum flavor. Now it's time to add the tomatoes. I'm going to add about 56 ounces of whole peeled plum tomatoes. I buy these canned at the store. They're delicious and tasty and have no added preservatives. The brands I like best are Glen Organic or San Marzano. As I pour in the tomatoes, I'm going to break them up with my wooden spoon into smaller chunks. And you want to keep all the juices in this pot too. So the tomatoes are broken up into chunks, and I should really mention to be careful when you're doing that because they squirt everywhere, and I got myself a little bit on my sweater. Now we're going to add the herbs. This is a dry bay leaf from my mother's bakery in my backyard, kept from the summer. So I'm going to add a bay leaf and a whole sprig of rosemary because it's one of my favorite herbs. And leave them whole because you'll remove them later. We just want the flavor to get really infused into the sauce. And then last but not least, and most importantly, kosher salt. I like to add a few pinches of salt and then taste the sauce and see if I need to add a little more. And then black pepper. When making stews, I highly recommend you use fresh black pepper. Again, season it to taste with the pepper. Some people like a lot and some people don't. A great way to add flavor to anything you're cooking is with herbs. In this case, I've added bay leaf and rosemary, but you could also add basil or thyme or any kind of bouquet garni you want. You can really make it your own with the flavors from the oils and the herbs. So here we have a beautiful ragu sauce, and I'm going to let it simmer for on medium-low heat for about 1 hour. And I'm going to keep coming back to check on it and give the occasional stir, but really it can just sit here and simmer away. The sauce will thicken, the herb flavor will get in there, and it's going to be a very delicious dinner for tonight. And remember, parents, when something is simmering on the stove for a long time and there are children in the house, it's best to put it on the back burner. My daughter's waking up from her nap, and I'm going to let this simmer while we play in the other room. Tonight we're going to have ragu noodles for dinner. Yummy!
The first night we ate the ragu with rigatoni. The second night I served it over polenta. Then I froze the rest to save for a later dinner. I'm Kelsey, the Naptime chef. I look forward to cooking with you again soon.